Hello everybody, welcome to A Mortician's Tale! Yay, something related to what I do every day. Just a quick warning, it did sound like, from what I could see in the preview videos and the reviews, that there is some heavy content as well as some graphic details, so please be advised if you are not into blood, guts, and gore, which I'm not sure if there entirely is, but you might not want to watch, and obviously this deals with death. So, this game looks like it had mixed reviews based mostly on the content type, which doesn't make sense. Why would you play a game called Mortician Tale? But anyways, I don't know all too much about it other than you are a person who runs a funeral home. Based on the previews, it looked like it was fairly accurate to what we actually do at a funeral home. So I thought it would be fun, and also recommended to me from some friends to play this game, since it's what I do in my day-to-day life, and I can kind of compare what we actually do with this game, and I can let you guys know what's accurate and what's not, and how things are done. Yay! So I'm really excited. September 14th at 10:15 a.m. That's a late start to the day. Ooh. So something I did notice from the game, the previews, I'll just kind of explain this setup really quick. It looks like this is your embalming area, this is your crematorium, and this is where you process the remains. Normally, in most funeral homes, the crematorium is not at all in the funeral home. It's its own separate building, but obviously for the purposes of this game, they put it all into one. And not all funeral homes actually have crematoriums, it's usually a cemetery. Hello and welcome to our new funeral director by Matthew Jeffrey. To Charlie. Welcome, Charlie. Nice to meet you. My name's Matthew, and I'm mainly going to be the man who delivers the bodies to ya and helps with some of the more heavy lifting. Ever hear that joke about a hearse driver? I'll tell it to you when I come by in a bit. Looking forward to working together. I think you'll enjoy working here. Amy is a sweetheart, but she runs a tight ship. Nothing you can't handle, I'm sure. She wouldn't have hired you otherwise. Cheers and good luck. Matthew J., Funeral Director at Rose and Daughters Funeral Home. Aww. So, I have... Oh, I can reply to people? Oh, okay. Let's, I guess, go down the list. From Amy Rose to Charlie. Hello, Charlie. Well, you're new here, so it's probably best I explain where everything is. In your office/prep room, you'll find your cremation station, cremulator station, embalming station, and obviously, since reading this email, your desk and computer area. I know you have experience working with these stations, but please let me know if you have any questions. Best, Amy Rose. From Jen Love. Ooh. I guess my subject lines, you should start being more professional now. Oh. Good luck, you beautiful and smart baby. Now that we are business professionals, I can't wait to get your reply so I can see your fancy new email signature. I love that you were able to land this gig straight after graduating. It sounds super cool. I didn't even know mom and pop funeral homes were a thing until now. Guess it's just not something I really think that much about. I should look more into this, learn more about your world and industry, because as I said, you are now a very serious professional. Speaking of being professional, my museum gig is amazing. I can't believe somebody paid me to move to London, and not London, Ontario. Oh, that's funny. Serial killer capital of Ontario. Which it is! To work in a museum. Like, take that, everyone who said I couldn't get a job with an art history degree. I'll tell you more about it when we Skype. My story requires you to see my face, and that you hear my excellent British accent impression. Also, I signed you up for Funeral's monthly newsletter. Consider it your graduation gift. I love you. Super proud of you gift. Love you, love you, love you. Yeah, Jen L. I assume she's a sister? For those of you who don't know, I also live in Ontario, Canada. But not London. But yes, it is, or at least was, serial killer capital of Canada. So, I'll actually read this before I reply. Hello, Charlie. Hope you settled in okay so far. Matthew should have dropped off your first body for you to work on. He said you were really friendly, and he's glad to have someone young and lively to work with. You'll get used to his sense of humor. Your first body is Mrs. Garcia, an elderly woman who died suddenly of a heart attack. The family is asked for a closed casket funeral, so no embalming or body preparation is necessary. The family seems a little bit more united than previous families we've dealt with. Strange how grief affects people differently. Perhaps having more time to say goodbye makes things a bit easier, if that's possible. That being said, although you will not be embalming Mrs. Garcia, I do think it's important to take very loud car going by. Take the time to clean her body. No one is going to see her body, but I like to encourage my funeral directors to do this out of respect for the deceased and their loved ones. You'll find Mrs. Garcia in the prep room. Talk soon. Special requests. Dear Mia, something you'll learn in business life in general, always read through everything. Dear Amy, we're happy to be with Rose and daughters from her mother's funeral. We understand that there are usually procedures that must be followed, but if you could kindly not involve my mother, that would be greatly appreciated. And we will proceed with the closed casket for the service. I just know she wouldn't have wanted her death to have any negative impact on the environment, and since she fought so hard to beat her heart disease and to live healthily, it would be a shame to have her final moments to be counter to the way she lived. Thank you. Of course, no problem. Yeah. Oh, there's another email. Hold on. Tips for good etiquette. Thanks for subscribing. These are good tips. Generally following these guidelines of don't be a jerk. Don't be on your cell phone. Don't be loud or obnoxious. Don't get drunk. Happily reminisce. Give condolences. Dress appropriately. Give a gift or sign the registration book. So, in real life, we don't care if you're on your cell phones, but during the service, please turn it off. Don't be loud and obnoxious is actually a good one. Mostly because, not necessarily, like, some families are really happy and excited. Well, not excited, but they're excited to see each other. Some people haven't seen each other in a long time. Joking and laughing is the way that some people deal with grief. But sometimes there's other families in the funeral home, so not being loud and obnoxious is actually really helpful, because if I'm sitting in with a family who is not doing well, and maybe they don't want to hear people being loud and laughing while they're dealing with their own grief, it's very difficult. Obviously, don't get drunk. Dress appropriately. I kind of disagree with that. You don't have to wear a suit to a funeral. Dress in a way that makes you comfortable, or, if I've had people, the person really loved the color purple, everybody wears purple, something like that. But obviously, don't dress in your pajamas unless it's a request. Give a gift. I don't think you need to. Personally, that's my funeral etiquette. So, oops. I guess I have to just click on the body. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is the prep room where you'll be preparing bodies. Ooh, she's real messy. So this is something that we generally do if there's going to be a service, and oh, there we go. And it's closed casket. We'll still dress and wash the body. That's it. You're done. She'll be sent to Mike. This is something that we actually sort of do. So we do need to protect the dignity of the deceased. We usually don't cover the chest area just because it makes it more difficult to work, because we're working all in this area. But genitals are always covered on men and women. It's time to go to the funeral. You're responsible for taking care of the deceased body, but it's also important to pay your respects. Okay. Oh, look at me all dressed up in my cute little outfit. Oh. That's interesting that it's right there. So generally, depending on the size of the funeral home, the one I work at is fairly small, so I, in most cases, am in charge of embalming and actually meeting with the family for arrangements and directing the funeral. So this would be part of my job too. She would have hated these paintings. She was so particular. Well, too bad. Yeah, at least she doesn't have to see them, I guess. That's, yeah, I guess. We usually don't small talk a lot of these things. At least that's what I always thought. Or I was always taught. Is he one of our guys? I hate wearing pantyhose. My legs are so itchy, but it's always cold in these funeral homes. I think I might actually miss those sweaters she used to knit for me now. Mommy, I'm hungry. When can we go? Yeah, I heard the family specifically said no embalming. I thought it was mandatory. It's like required by law, but I guess not. I was going to get into this, and at least in Ontario, it is not required by law to have embalming at all. But, depending on the funeral home's policies and what the situation is, embalming might be required. Our policy at the funeral home I work at is if it's going to be longer than 3 days, we require embalming if they're not being cremated, because we cannot predict how the body is going to start decomposing, quite simply. And we can't take that chance of any odors, any leakage, or anything like that in the casket during visitation. If we are doing an open casket where people are going to be having a visitation, my funeral home does require embalming, again, because we don't know how decomposition is going to affect the body. There are situations where you don't need to do embalming at all, such as if there's cremation, they don't need to be embalmed, or if you're doing what we call an identification, which is basically an identification. You go into a room with the body. The features are set so they look nice. We wash them up so they smell good. And then you just kind of say goodbye. It's usually not longer than an hour, and only a few people go. Embalming weirds me out. Do those chemicals leach into the ground? Seems strange to be using a chemical that is known to cause cancer and putting it into the ground like that. Yep, it also goes into our local water systems. So have fun with that one. Or into the sewer. Yep. That's what they do with the leftovers, right? Yep. At least embalming guarantees you won't be buried alive. Sure does. Stop it, don't make me laugh right now. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. It all goes into the sewer system. Guess I should check the casket. Oh, I'm bowing. Oh, I'm done, I guess. Oh, next day. Oh, cleaning up. I want to know what this is. Just like a random hand. Zombie is what it looks like. Oh, look at my tattoos. Jennifer Valentine. I am so frustrated right now. Okay, let me explain this in a bit more detail. A colleague and I were discussing the tight lacer's liver specimen we have here at the museum. It's from a woman who died in 1907, and the liver is tapered inwards from what the doctor leading the autopsy believed was too tight lacing on her corset. It's fascinating because it's kind of a controversial topic. Tight lacing was super popular, and while people associate it with fainting or hysteria, sigh, it's actually been associated with visceratosis. Huh. Which is when the organs fall into the lower part of the abdomen, right? So, from what I remember, anything with ISIS or is some kind of an inflammation, which is super unsettling, but can also be caused by being pregnant. Yeah. Of course, it probably messed up some bones, but likely didn't do this kind of internal organ damage. And I'm tired of the condescension about my wardrobe that also implies I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, it's because she's a woman. There are kinds of things I specifically research, and yet I'm treated like I know nothing about. I'm having a date, Charlie. Oh, we're still going. Can I rant for just a second? I'm so tired of hearing strangers, colleagues, anybody cough, male colleagues cough, get on my case for wearing corsets. I wear them under my blazer and over a nice blouse, so I'm dressing inappropriately. So it's not like I'm dressing inappropriately, even though dress cards are such sexist BS anyways. And like, I hate how their misogyny gets veiled in faux concern. Jen, I'm just worried you're damaging your body. You know what corsets do to livers, right? Corsets don't do anything to livers. It's definitely not hurting me as much as your condensation is. Anyways. Sorry, I'm out of sorts right now. I'll send you another email. Corsets can do what she said by moving your stuff around if you're doing tight lacing, which she's probably not. Also, I kind of think that for a museum, whoops, I'm dropping things. This is inappropriate. You're fully covered, but to me, I would be okay if the corset was under the blouse, but not over the blouse. But whatever. Just passing this message along. This is so nice when we get thank yous from families, because we do a lot of work. Hi Amy, please pass along our deepest thanks to you and your staff for the wonderful job they did with our mother's funeral. It was really lovely. Our family so rarely gets together. See, that's what I mean. A lot of families don't get together often. It was nice seeing everyone come out for such a beautiful service. My son never gets to see his family. Also, it was incredibly kind of you to let us bring our own food in. Getting to share home-cooked meals, sharing stories, being together, blah blah blah. So what I'm saying is it was great. Blah blah blah. Oh, heck yeah. Your funeral director. With COVID, obviously families have not been allowed to eat, which sucks. Oh goodness. Let's read this. I see why this also may have gotten a lot of mixed reviews, because there's a lot of just reading and story. Hey there, Charlie. I was driving around the other day, taking our clients on the last trip around town, and I was thinking, strange, I know. Did I ever tell you the first time I went to a funeral? I was a teenager about to start university, and a friend of mine was killed in a car accident, totally out of the blue. Really tragic stuff. Messed me and my friends up real good. But, so, the big day, we all got into our best suits and dresses and packed ourselves into a few cars. There were a lot of us, so we had at least 3 different cars full of us. Like clown cars, While we're in the procession going to the cemetery, somebody in our car got a phone call from a friend in a different car. Turns out, some loser driver who doesn't know not to get in the way of procession drove through the intersection and smashed straight into her friend's car. That is insane! Nobody was hurt, thank goodness, but can you imagine getting that call? Anyways, one of my friends in the same car as me, the one who got the phone call, hung up and started laughing. Just laughing her butt off in a way that makes you not sure if they're really just crying or if they've gone fully off the deep end. And she laughed. And then we all started giggling because, go figure. Life is messed up sometimes, There's no moral, no point to that story, I guess. I just remember that story and wanted to tell you, because we work with death all the time and I still sometimes get caught off guard by what that actually means. Oh, before you get any ideas, that has nothing to do with why I became a funeral director. The decision came totally later. It is nothing unremarkable. Somebody has to do it, and I have a strong stomach, so why not? See you in a bit, Charlie. What to wear if you're attending? Formal black attire. Oh, this is actual stuff. So, if you really want to read it, pause. Yeah, it doesn't really go into the Chinese. I believe we're white, not black. But anyways, it's important to remember if you're going to certain cultures what the appropriate wear is. Okay, hi Charlie, here are the instructions for your next body. You did a remarkable job on the first one. The family was very happy with you. No small feat, of course. Pleasing a grieving family isn't exactly the most comfortable. Your next job is a man named Mr. Duval. An elderly man died of old age. Nothing fancy, just standard funeral with embalming. Yay! You can reach out to Senator Lizzie if you have any questions. She's handling her father's passing as well as could be expected. P.S. Please remember to wear proper embalming gear. It's an extremely dangerous, blah, 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 blah. I won't bother you too much. Get right on it. At first embalming, and yes, it's important to wear all of your gear because you're dealing with a lot of blood and people's diseases and whatever they may or may not have that we don't know anything about. So, traditional burials typically require embalming, otherwise family requests. Let's start by cleaning the body. Okay. Are we clean? Oh, click on the razor. This is the part I saw in the video that we would never do. We would never shave somebody's body. There's no reason for it. We don't know their preference, and there's no reason for it. It's a waste of our time. But we will, however, shave men and even women to their preferences. I mean, some women, you've been in the hospital for a long time, and hair grows that would normally be shaved. So we'll deal with that. So, you have to massage the body. That's not true. You don't massage the body. You bend the limbs to break the rigor. So it's no different than you putting your arm above your head, but you're just forcing somebody's arm to do that. And the reason we do it is because otherwise they fixate to that position and you can't move them after embalming. So if your arm is stuck above your head due to rigor, and we embalm you like that, your arm is never coming back down. So the eyeballs deflate once the body starts decomposing. Yes, and also we don't want the eyes to slip open. So these are eye caps. They look actually like contacts with serrated edges. And you pop them in like contacts, and then you just put the eyelid over. You don't always need to glue the eyes closed. It depends on if they're willing to give you a hard time or not. Hollows once this click and drag. What do you think the mouth closure is? No? Oh, I just have to... What? Click and drag. Something's in my way here. Hold on. No, I can't move it. Can I? I have my recording thingy right here. So I'm gonna just... There we go. Oh, okay. We are using cotton. Yes, we do that. We stuff cotton in your mouth to give it its shape because especially a lot of people when they die, they're emaciated, so their lips kind of just need to be filled in a bit. And we do not do this kind of suture on your mouth. There's other suture methods that we'll do. We also don't moisturize before embalming because that's a waste of time. The water's gonna just... Yeah, the water's just gonna rub it all off. Embalming and chemicals. Whomp. We don't do this either. There's no reason for it. What we do is... I wish I could go into more detail. Show graphics. But we find the vein and the artery, and we use other tools to keep the vein open once we cut it to allow for draining. I believe this is what we call a heart tap, and almost nobody does it because it's so unnecessary and it's difficult, and you have to get the tube all the way into the heart, whereas the other way we do it is to just leave the vein open, and it's just gonna bleed out. Click the cannula. That's my cannula. Boop. So the cannula goes into the artery, so that way it'll inject all of our fluids. Tubing and drag it to cannon. From where? Tubing. That's a trocar. Where am I attaching it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Press the button. And yes, we are going to massage the body as we do it, because that's going to help the circulatory system do its thing. So what happens is the embalming fluid goes in, it goes up through into the heart, and then out the vein. It pushes all the blood out of the vein. So if you're massaging the body, it just helps that process go along. And then we can make sure that the full body is getting the embalming fluids. Cotton balls. Oh. And the machine kind of does sound like this. Okay. Need to drain the fluids. So this is something that most people don't know about the embalming process. They know about this whole first part. But we also use what's called a trocar to take everything out of your organs that we can. So we're trying to get all of the excess fluids out of your organs and kind of deflate them. So that way the other chemicals that we put in afterwards will harden everything in here. I hope I'm explaining this well. So, okay. So we put other chemicals into the abdomen directly that harden all of your organs, and that'll prevent any unnecessary leakage. Most people pee a lot. Once you start doing this whole process, because there's pressure getting on organs. So when we use the trocar to aspirate the organs, it'll prevent people from doing that into the casket, which is nice. Okay, and I guess we're not going to cosmetize him or anything. Came out of nowhere. I mean, it always sort of does, doesn't it? Yeah, 1 minute you're laughing, having fun, and the next, poof, that person is gone. Just like, gone. Yeah, it's weird to think about it for too long. Like staring at the sun. I start to feel all fuzzy when I think about it. So weird. Our bodies just stop working like that. Yeah. Kind of what death is. So strange not seeing most people wearing white. White, as I said before. Yeah, I think it's different for different family members. I can remember I haven't gone to many traditional funerals, so mostly white, but like definitely not red, no matter what. It depends again on the culture. He always wanted to take his grandkids to the park, play catch. He loved playing catch. He threw a mean curveball, that's for sure. Humming to himself. Alright. So ends another day. So I'm going to leave it here. It's been a little while. Sorry we haven't done much. Looks like we're going to be operating the crematorium. So something I'll just point out really quick. In Ontario, there's all kinds of different licensing that you have to have in order to be a funeral director / mortician, whatever you want to call it. I have what is called a Class 1 license, so I can arrange funerals, I can embalm, and I can basically do everything, transfer bodies, all that good stuff. Something I cannot do is operate a crematorium. That is its own license. There's also a funeral director Class 2 license, which lets you do everything except embalming, and a pre-planning license, which you can only talk to people before they die to plan their funerals ahead of time. Then, as I said, there's a crematorium license, there's a transfer operator license, so people who only transfer bodies from one place to another and they can do nothing else. There's cemetery license, cemetery sales licenses. So it's a heavily regulated industry in Ontario. People ask me, of course, all the time why I got into the industry. There's a lot of reasons, but kind of going back to what our friend in the email said, I've got a strong stomach. It's not something I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of death. So it kind of became a why not, but I was also having trouble figuring out how to do it. And it just so happens I got into cemetery sales while I was trying to look for sales experience. and I found out how to do it. I also like the fact that I can give other people the knowledge that I didn't know. Death is a scary thing. I have not had to plan a funeral for anybody yet, but it was something that was always on the back of my mind, and I didn't know how to do it. And now I know how to do it, and it's so comforting to give that comfort to other people who don't know either. But anyways, that's enough about me and a little bit in this industry. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to answer them either in next week's video or just answer them through the comments. I've only been licensed for the past year, but I am thoroughly enjoying being a funeral director so far, and I am glad that this game is a little more accurate because it's hard to show people what exactly we do. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!